What's going on here? Who will end up at the show today? I'm in the white room. This is what the inside of my head looks like. Wait, I have to cover up that too. There we go. The inside of my cranium. Empty. Except for a few elephants running around. Oh no, the elephants are upside down. What up, Damien? I'm excellent, man. Just doing a show from somewhere new. What up, Illumis? We'll talk about some state of readiness. What's going on? What up, Under the Aether? It is the morning here, yes. It is not. No, there is no morning here. Good rising. Isn't that what people say now? Don't we have to change morning in for rising because, well, we're not mourning. If you're living, there is no mourning to be done. You know how that works, right? So as usual, I'll give this about 5 minutes. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. You know what? This white T-shirt is killing me right now. I'm about to go change my. Well, thank you, Cam. I'm about to go change this T-shirt because this white on white with this white background is crushing me right now. I feel like I'm in an institution, and I've been in one before, and it's not a fun place. There we go. A little green. How's green? Is green better? Green. Look at. Oh, and I got a little globe. You know what? I didn't even do this on purpose, but it's funny. Yeah, we'll put this right here. We'll put the globe here. The globe.
Hi, peoples.
Do you know who that is? That's Ami. She still thinks we're spinning around in a globe flying through outer space.
She does not.
No, she doesn't believe that. She's not. She's a very smart person. It's orange. It's an orange globe. Very funny. I think this was acquired maybe 3 months before I started doing the research, and then. But I really like it anyways, and it's a nice little piece. I used to have a flat Earth map behind it, so it was a nice contrast to the flat Earth map, and then the whatever this thing is, whatever this big ball is. But no, I didn't have this here for that reason. But we'll just keep it here in the shot, so it'll be for fun. For funsies, we'll talk about it. Yeah, but who knows? I don't know. I don't even want to get into it really. I just thought it was more funny because I see all of this. It's in every community, and people are out here always claiming this person's a shill, that person's a shill, and I thought of the words, the word that I used here in the title, the Uninsultables, and I find that there's a great deal of people that are uninsultable, and they tend to have giant egos, and they tend to be lacking self-respect or self-worth, and in fact they almost have no egos. They either have huge egos that are very unhealthy, or no egos at all. Like people that just, they suffer from that. Well, they don't even suffer from it. That's the thing. That's the point of the whole story, is that people don't suffer from their lack of like their blindness, their horse blinders, their lack of empathy. They don't suffer from it. They have no care. They've cremated care literally in their own world. That the only thing that matters is themselves. And so I'm gonna wait to get into a little further on this. But yeah. So what up? Who else is here? Good setting from Denmark. Yes. What up, Preston? You know what, Cam? I haven't used Silica enough to know what it's done yet. And 5-HT I use off and on. I use 5-HT when I'm 5-HTP whenever I'm kind of, a little in the dumps or whatever. It's always like a witch hunt, right? It's always the witch hunt. Ain't it funny though? The funniest thing is like it's witches hunting witches. And if we even go further in this, I was reading something on Instagram. I don't even know why I go to this garbage anymore. And it was somebody that was like a Christian and a Christian flat earther. You know, because you get the flat earther, and then you got the flat Earth community, and then you got shills within it, and you got shills within shills, and you got it's such a funny conundrum. A flat Earth vegan transgender shill. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got to make sure we label these things correctly so that everybody knows exactly where we sit and classify us, so we can really get those boxes in order to understand. Well, are you a glober? Are you a flat earther? Are you in the flat Earth community? And I always distance myself from all of this because, like, I know where I stand. Like, not only do I know that I stand on a flat plane as far as I can tell, but I know where I stand as a human. And so I'll just go with I'm a human archetype. I'll go with that. If I need to level up just a little bit, maybe a demigod, maybe a god, maybe God himself or herself or itself. But this, I'll just start dipping into it a little bit here. There's so many people that are you know, they use flat Earth as a stage for something. And that's all fine and well and good, but then you have all of these people that make that is what their channel is. That's what they are, and that's fine. And we can accept that because people have, that turns into their like a little piggy bank, and so be it. Everybody needs a business. Everybody needs to make an income somehow, and that's just fine and dandy. But then you got these people out here within their community, because it's funny, I'm just sitting here from the outside, like I'm not even touching that. Like, I know where we are, I'll make a video on it, but I'm not gonna make everything gonna be about that. But it's interesting to see because that is such a gateway into like a whole nother point of view of reference for how the world works, that if you accept that, then there's a bunch of other landslide of lies that you kind of just go, oh man, open up my eyes to this whole thing. Like, this all of a sudden is this whole model and everything that is based on you start to navigate through that minefield of weirdness and lies, and where did it start, and who's perpetrating it. And here's the level that I want to get to with people is most of these people I don't believe are shills to any degree. I think they're just dumb people. Just because you know the earth is flat doesn't make you some sort of brilliant human being. There's a lot of people out here that just, okay, that you get it, the earth's flat, but that doesn't, now then all of a sudden they're still in this whole mindset that everything else is a con game. Everything else is some sort of conspiracy. It's a conspiracy, everything's conspired. Oh. You ever heard of what the opposite of conspiracy is, where people are actually working for your good? There's a lot of people out here that seem to believe not that everything is conspired to your detriment, but things are conspiring for your benefit. Imagine that. It doesn't matter what the community is. But as I just kind of, before we go off on that little tangent, there tends to be this, the witch hunt that we're talking about. And what people don't get is that we're all witches. We're all magicians. We're all gods. We're all human. And call it whatever you want. But we're all within that category. And everybody out there trying to point out and figure out who's this? Oh, they said this. And that now I can tell. I can see what their goal is. I can see what their agenda is. And everybody's got an agenda. Everybody has an agenda. I don't care who you are. If you don't have an agenda, like, what are you doing? Like, I have a little bit of an agenda here, don't I? To pass on information. That's my agenda. But whatever comes out of it, like, I have maybe a different opinion on what I think my outcome from this should be, but all in all, my agenda is pretty simple. Here, have some free information, and hopefully it inspires your life to make it better. So that's why I can't get caught up in these little who's the witch out here? Well, you know what? I already know. I'm the witch. You're the witch. I've already accepted that. I've accepted that everybody is a black magician, a white magician, a witch. Most of them unknowing. They're unknowing of it. But as we go a little deeper into this, to the word that I use, the people that are uninsultable, because there's so many people within communities that become uninsultable. It's that really fat chick that is like 350 pounds. It's like, oh no, I'm beautiful no matter what, and I mean just unhealthy as all get out, but no, I'm healthy and I respect my body, and sitting there just slamming down hot dogs. Like, no, you can't, you don't get to do that. You don't get to say that you're healthy when you're literally doing everything unhealthy in your life. And then so you can't, if you can't say anything to them, you can't insult them. They're literally uninsultable. It's like the same people that are, if there are shills out here, because there'll be people that show up and want to shill for $10 an hour. Well, how can they do that? How can you sell out your people? Because they don't have any other. If their choice is to get on the internet and type some stupid shit that they have no connection to because they can't see the bigger picture, if they can make $10, $20 an hour doing that versus working at McDonald's, what do you think they're gonna do? I'm gonna bet they're gonna get online and just type some ridiculous things because they can't see the larger picture. So how many people out here are actually working for, like, we got to look at it this way. We can call anybody you want to shill, but you know what? For the last 100 centuries, literally 100 centuries, do the math on that. For as long as you can think. For even, let's just play with the last 100 years. Anybody that works for a corporation is, in and of itself, that person's just shill. A shill for that corporation. And if that corporation, let's say they're working for Nestle. At what point in time was Nestle doing anything good for the planet? Not damn once, right? So if you have anything to do with the Nestle Corporation, you're shelling out for that company. You're shelling out your energy for that company, and you would go to battle and fight against any other corporation or anybody that has different ideas than what Nestle does. And so we have a bunch of corporations and dead entities that are actually, they're 90% of people with shills anyways. But why? Not because they consciously were. They weren't consciously going out here saying, "Hey, I'm actually a government provocateur, and I'm going to go out here and disrupt the climate of what's going on in the communities and infiltrate all of this information." And even the people that are doing it, that are being paid to do it, they're mindless, senseless drones. And in fact, in some degrees, they may be just little computers, like that are algorithms played within the computer system. But beyond that, there are people that are actually doing it. But their mindset is, they're probably sitting there as these uninsultable people, that they're so far beyond health, they're so far beyond recognition that they can do anything good with their life or around the world, like for anyone, that them sitting there making $100,000 to type some garbage on a computer, they don't see the connection to how filthy that is because of how filthy they are. You can't insult them. They're Jabba the Hutt. They're Pizza the Hutt. They're so far beyond health that if I could walk into them and I could walk into their area and say, "Hey, there's so many things we can do to improve your life and make your life not about spreading disinformation and nonsense and getting into the spokes and cogs and wheels and agendas of people trying to uplift humanity." Even if we could do that, you have people that are they're like 350 pounds, whatever. And I'm using weight because it's a very simple example to understand with your eyeballs what's going on. We can talk about people that are all disorganized in different fashions, but that's a obvious physical outpouring. So I'd walk in and I'd say, "Hey, we can help you with something," right? That person, they see getting into the point of being in shape, healthy, to any degree of actually having healthy relationships with food, with people, with the environment, to be outside of their capacity. So how could you ever instill anything into that person other than say, "Hey, here's some money. It will buy you the things you want. It will buy you pornography. It will buy you women. It will buy you a car. It will buy you all the food you want." That person is living the life that they found suitable for them because of how uninsultable they are. You can't insult their intelligence because they have none. You can't insult their being. You can't insult their ego because they've thrown that out the window. You can't insult their spirit because they sold that shit. So they don't even have one. There's nothing you could do to improve their lives. So where do we sit here? The only thing we can do is just go, well, water off our backs, be like ducks, right? Like, what are these people going to do? How does this whole thing, as I always like to take it to the next level and look at the bigger picture, because there seems to be some sort of awakening or this process that occurs for individuals or collectively on seeing whether we come from this thing or we're on this surface here. We all have I'd say a level playing surface, which has something to do with the awareness. See, the awareness and the consciousness of being on a level playing surface. The playing field is all the same. The rules are the same. Everyone's the same size. So when we have this concept of all being, because the movement is towards like, hey, I think You know, sooner or later, the beans will be completely spilled that the Earth is flat. And the only thing that's going to take a big fall out of that is maybe NASA. But by the time that occurs, all of the money and the power is going to go somewhere else. They've already have it funneling somewhere. When I say they, I mean maybe you, maybe me, maybe all of these other tiny little institutions, which, you know, you start to get a little bit of an audience. Like, look at these little flat earthers. They came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you give them an audience of 20,000 people, and people are like, yeah, good job, buddy, way to go. And their ego's like, yeah, they're feeling all good. And so now all of a sudden, they have something to protect. They have an egg. They have an ego. They have an identity online that they want to protect, in a sense, too, because that's their business. That's their entity. They've created an entity out of themselves and out of what the flat earth is. And this is so many other things, too. We can get into, like, simpler things. Like, it doesn't have to be just about flat earth, but you can watch this occur in all sorts of other communities. I've covered this fully in the vegan community and how sellout that is. You know, I was getting to this. How many people out here on the Love and Light movement aren't these beautiful, angelic-looking women? They out here with the biggest subscriber numbers, right? They looking all good. They got the really nice camera. They're doing the poses. We're going to do the yoga today. Yeah, and I'm going to eat my banana smoothie. And here's the chocolate recipe that I have from the thing that, you know, yeah, I could have found that. Just put chocolate smoothie in. But now we got people out here watching this. And they're the only ones on Love and Light. I don't see any like crusters out here on some Love and Light thing, because they ain't receiving the love and light in the same way that these are. You don't think the world works that way? So you have to get really, let's get basic with this. Let's level out the playing field. What do people want to look at? Who are these people pushing these certain kinds of agendas? Where do they fit into play? You know, some of these people are part of bigger corporations and bigger agendas, selling these kind of love and light movements, this vegan movement, this flat earth thing, whatever it might be, true or not, good or not, is irrelevant. And then some people are just trying to make their way along this path on this life, trying to find something. Where do they fit in this journey? And so this whole shill thing is just such a funny campaign, because everybody gets involved in it. And then it becomes difficult for the people that aren't literally shills, because there are obviously some. How do these ones that are not shills, how do they keep their integrity? How do they save their own face whenever, like, people are just like, oh, this person's fucking shill, check them out, look at here's what their agenda is. I mean, I could point to 10 people that to me seem really kind of, well, you know, then another 5 people that I'm like, oh no, they're just dumb people. They're just protecting the ego. They're just protecting self. They're just a dumb person. I can see what kind of person that is. I know I grew up just like that person. I wasn't a cool guy in high school, and I started doing this. I started, you got people that start to go into, some play sports, some get into the band, some become artists. Like, there's all sorts of people, and there's different attitudes and the ways that they view and see the world. And all of a sudden, they get a little clout. They get a little bit of, they get juiced up on here. They get all juiced up, and they think they're. So where do we sit individually again and collectively? Because certainly, the expression here that I give to people is, how can you improve your life to make your position here on whether you think you live on this shit or it's flat, whatever you think, don't really matter. But if you think you live on this, then your brain is already a little skewed, because you've already bought into agendas that other people have sold you, so that you know, I don't think there's too many people that could, even if no one knew that I pretty much considered the earth to be flat, even if because it would be hard to tell unless you found some of my videos, because I don't outwardly say it. But I bet most people that would come to this channel and listen to me would know that the earth is flat, because there's no way you're going to be able to step through as many hoops and listen to the kind of things that I say without actually having a mind of your own to find these concepts palpable. The things that I say, as far and deep as it can go into things, that, like, I've obviously thought about these things, and if you're thinking about these things too, then there's no way you think you're living on that. You've found your own self, and then you come from this place of, and getting into this shillery and all of this other things that go on in the media, because that's what we're talking about. We're all doing this through media. Is how to find yourself some, hey, what is my position here on earth? How am I doing? How am I feeling? How's it going? Is there anywhere I need to be? Am I good now? Okay. What's next? How can I create and radiate more energy around me if that's what you choose to do? How can I enlighten and turn my experience bigger? How can I connect and interconnect with, like the flower of life, with other entities of people that happen to be of like-mindedness, of trying to improve what seems to be the collective consciousness? And I don't like to use all these words because people they hijack these hot button words like, well, let's co-create this collective conscious, and I try to stay away from things like that because, as much as it serves to tell the story and what we're trying to convey, some people just use it. I've heard people just say these words in a string, and they're basically saying nothing. They go on for hours and they've said not a damn word about making a point about anything or trying to encourage something, or and so what is it, as I try to funnel it back to, let's take all of this information, condense it into a little ball and eat it. And as it hits your little tummy there, what does it become and express out as you, and how do you digest all of this and interact with the world, and then deal with, the amount of input of information through the media, through people on the internet that lack integrity, that might be shills, that are just foolish. How do we navigate that? How do we set that aside? How do we just go, yep, I'll just look, here we go. Here's a great book, 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, magical book. I can go through this, and I don't have to like Robert Greene to read the book. I don't have to know Robert Greene. In fact, I don't know Robert Greene. And when I'm done reading this book, I'll know nothing more about Robert Greene, because this is not about Robert Greene. This is about the 48 Laws of Power. And I'll know something about ideas and energies as to do with what power looks like. So when we come across these people that are shill or not, what can we do? We can always say, what piece of information are they giving that fits into my story, that fits into my storyline, and encourages and amplifies the things that I'm doing that are positive in my life, that are positive for people around us. And that's kind of how to navigate these shilly things. Or just, snip, snip. Discount, we ain't listening to that channel. I mean, what do you do with the TV? You shut it off. But then, but then what's the next step? Then we're out in public, and we see the people that are like, you kind of deal with that. Like, oh man, you're gonna walk into this place and people are gonna be watching the football. How do you deal with that? I don't like football because I see what it's done to the, taking this next step of dealing with people that are shilly. Look at anybody that shilly is like kind of like silly, huh? You go to watch these people that go to church, right? All these people that go to church that are Christians, they're shills. They're shills for Christ. All of these people that go to football games on Sunday, they're all shills for their football team, right? You don't like their football team, you don't like they're about to attack you. They're about to have an argument that's their Sunday fun day. We're about to we're mad about football now. But we're surrounded by people that have those one singular concepts of mind. There's one like that. I'm a football fan. I'm a Christian. I work for this company. I believe I live on this. I believe I'm a flat earther. And then even that becomes it's so funny to me. It's like, can you stop talking about it already? We got the information. I've said this before. The information does this really weird thing where once this video is up here, it's always up here. I don't need to say anything more about what I've just said, because people can push the button and go figure out, okay, here's all the information I need on flat earth. It's out there. Nobody needs to solve anything more about the shape of the earth. If you do the research, it's pretty fundamentally clear. You can just walk outside and do your own research, or you can, get the information out here that these people don't need to continue to go on and on and on and on and on and on. And here's the t-shirt. I've got the t-shirt. I'm going to start selling t-shirts that say t-shirt on it. I don't know. Like, really? Like, okay, get it. I'm wearing a t-shirt. Check it out. Did you notice? I believe the t-shirt's a t-shirt. So, I don't know. This was my little rant this morning, just because, you wake up and you have some good dreams, and then you see the funny things on the Instagrams and on the YouTubes. Because even though I'm a media source and I'm outputting information, I also have to take things in, Because I get, sometimes I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about today? Unless I go watch some things, unless I go read a book, unless I go watch some different videos, I'm not going to have much to talk about, and I kind of would like to keep some things semi-relevant to what's going on. So that's why we're here trying to, who are these shills? What's going on? What's going on here on Flat Earth? What's happening? What's next? Where are we going with this? Are we on this spaceship? What are we doing here? Where are we going? So I'm gonna go through your comments here, and I'll probably dig into that a little more. But hopefully that gave you a little bit of something to chew on. And whether or not I gave you any solutions to anything, as I usually try to do, is really of no regard, because at least it gives you something for your brain to kind of, play with, like Play-Doh, and chew on and see what you think about it. What up, Jessica? Under the Aether, flat Earth, vegan, transgender shill. I'm guessing you're the vegan and the flat Earth is probably where you're sitting. I'm guessing the transgender might not be what you are. And you don't smell too shilly. Illumis. I don't think anybody here is saying God was a man. God is genderless. God is a thought form and space. So there's no God as a man. What up, Sticky Icky? Yeah, that's always the thing that's why I try to do whatever I'm doing with deconstructing the language, so that you can just not only know the words that are coming out of people's mouths, but then to also kind of get a little more into your center of saying, does the sound of that person's voice resonate with my being, that they're saying anything of any value or any truth? And there are certain people that you just go, nope. It just so happens, nope. That's a big no for me. That's a big no. It's like, we want everybody to be good and great and grand and wonderful, but it just so happens that some people are just full of shit and they're speaking shit. Yeah, it's not a human right. Johnny K, you accidentally said shill instead of share. Uh-oh, you getting a taste of the truth bug. You got the truth serum in you. All of a sudden, you're gonna be start Freudian slipping everything, except you ain't gonna be fraud slipping. You're gonna be using a different kind of psychological slipping. Sticky Icky. Is everyone gonna wake up, or are we chosen? I don't really like the words wake up or chosen, but I would say we're all chosen to wake up. How that occurs, if you were to use like Neville Goddard's analogies, at what he doesn't believe in reincarnation per se. He believes in this life persisting as kind of what movie is it where you kind of wake up, like if you were to like, basically it's like basically playing Super Mario Brothers. You get killed, you go right back to that board until you wake up. And whatever waking up is, are you chosen to wake up by yourself, by some god outside of you? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think there's degrees and levels too. I don't call it awoke, because are you at a wake or at a funeral, or is it awareness? Levels two of awareness or conscious. It's being conscious of being conscious and being aware of being aware, and even that is only part of the concept of being magical or having some sort of control over the environment, because you obviously do. We can't, anybody out here that's on some the universe will take care of it shit. They've by saying the universe will take care of it is the same thing as saying God will take care of it, saying that thing over there will take care of it. No, you are the prime universal creator. You work with the larger environment, and that construct it puts you at the center. You are the controller of your universe. That's it. How much you have coming back to you in residuals from like last week when you weren't paying attention to how you were controlling the universe? Yeah, that's little things, but once you become aware of it, then all of a sudden you can we're snipping these things off, doing a couple cleansing rituals, doing these type of things that encourage their mind to create better environments for the future. That seems to be what it is. That awareness is the allowance for you to, from this time and space, alter what space you're in, where you are on this globe, or what realm you're in, and what time place you're in. Seems to be the goal. Yeah, Under Aether, I don't agree with you at all there. I've done so many videos on boxed vegan food is whack, but vegan lifestyle is the best. I don't think so. I think vegan lifestyle is a trick. It keeps people from being aware and conscious of what they're eating. I don't like anything to do with vegan consciousness. I would never call myself a vegan. I'm not a vegan. And I think it has to do with the word vega, and it has to do with the word vacant. Because if you don't get really aware real quick to what's going on here, because it used to be vegetarian, it used to be plant-based, it used to be let's just eat what's going on, and now there's a label and a box for it. Whether or not you're talking about boxed food, if you start claiming a vegan lifestyle, then you're no better or worse than somebody claiming to be a Christian, a statist, because that's what it is, to be involved in a state of consciousness and awareness, to say this is what I am, and I don't like anything to do with it. I'm more of keep the boxes and labels to yourself. And the antics that the vegans have caused, the vegans, the people that are really controlling and fundamentally pushing that movement, if you don't see how it is corporately controlled, it's not for the best interest of you, your family, this planet, and it keeps you disassociated with nature. That's the real truth. But I took most of those videos down because I was just tired of listening to people rant and rave about thinking that I want to go, just hack off cows' heads in every episode because they didn't listen to what I had to say, not knowing what I actually stand for, and the fact that, I think I'm probably more of a vegan than you are. My lifestyle is more directed to caring for humans. People that are vegans, they love to care for animals, but they fucking hate humans. They hate the shit out of you. Vegans hate you. They love animals. They'll go, they don't want to touch animals. They don't really want to care for animals. They don't want anybody to touch anything to do with nature. They want you to eat the plastic little, okay, whatever you say, vegan overlord, as long as we don't hurt anything. Let's not hurt anything. Oh, love and light and vegan. Namaste, y'all. Turn the cheek as you're getting your fucking face pounded in by the agendas of the inorganic world movement, because it is about, the vegans are all about the inorganic world, and I don't want to dig into that too far here because I've made too many videos on it, and people just don't listen. They get triggered whenever I say I don't buy into the vegan agenda, because it is an agenda. And it's not a good one. Yeah, the vegan thing is difficult, sticky, icky, or the organic thing is difficult, sticky, icky, because the organic thing in this country, at least in America, is all about having to buy and pay for the label that says organic. So it just ups the price of something where, that's a really hard one, man. It really comes down to just find your local farmer. Know the source of what you're getting. That's really what it comes down to. That's the only real truth is in that, because anything that you're getting from the store anyways, you don't know where that's coming from. I don't care if you're getting if you get an organic piece of food that comes from California and you live in the Northeast, you're paying, and you have to understand, it could be organic, but it could be sitting there frozen over the winter. Well, then we got to get into what's organic, what's inorganic, what do all these words mean. Let's start off, this is more labels. There's really no way of accounting for it. It's just like, basically for me, it's look at the food. Does it look like can I put this in my body? Is there a seed in it? Okay, good. And I'm not going to be too difficult with myself. I'm not going to have too many quibbles in my life. I'm not going to have too many qualms or worries in my life, because that's going to put a bad vibe on whatever it is I'm eating. If I go somewhere and I have, I get some French onion soup, and then they tell me there's beef broth in it, I'm not gonna be like, oh, the insanity of it, you've killed the cows, I can't stand, I'm not gonna eat it. Ugh. No, I'll eat it. if I change, because I've done it before. I've changed everything about my diet. It didn't change the world. Imagine that. But if you just change everything, if everybody did it, yeah, well, everybody ain't doing it because everybody's in different states of consciousness. And I have to accept everyone's in their state of consciousness. And in my state of consciousness is just is a state of this, of thanking. Thank you for that. I appreciate, what I'm being served. And I have no qualms or quibbles with what I'm getting on my plate. That's not saying I'm going to take a big fucking chunk of steak and eat it because I don't. But that's just the level of having, and if you're really spiritual, let me just go on a little farther here. As I've said this before, if you're really spiritual and you believe into this afterlife thing and this body don't really matter, then you probably wouldn't be a vegan anyways. Why? Because you'd assume killing that animal would actually release that animal's spirit so they could move on to their next incarnation. And their next incarnation is always going to be up the ladder. So you'd be doing a favor by stepping on a bug. You'd be doing a favor killing a fish. You'd be doing a favor killing that cow. Because as in most of the religions that do believe in reincarnation, that are all about this kind of love and light kind of issue, they're always saying that reincarnation is happening and people are and animals are moving up a level. So by actually removing that animal's skin suit, you're letting their spirit out to move up a level. So you're actually doing God's work. You're doing the will of the gods. You're doing the will of, and then if you don't believe in all of that, then you're at least doing something good for that animal, for that species, for whatever that little spirit, or if you believe it has a soul, you're wrong because you don't have a soul. Because a soul is out there. You have a spirit, just like each one of those animals has a spirit. So you just be releasing the spirit. The same way that by eating vegetables, you're releasing the spirit of that vegetable into you so that that vegetable can get up inside of you and move around and walk around because that vegetable is asking you to say, hey, I want to be part of your life. Eat me. Eat me. And you eat it and all of a sudden it's interacting with you. It's dancing around instead of being stuck there. But yeah, that's the fun stuff. What up, Dave Henkel? Where did I get I don't know. I got that like right before I started doing all that research on the plane of the place that we live, the realm that we live on. I think it was like at what's the name of the place? Everybody gets there. You go there, you go shopping for all the pots and pans and things. What's the name of the place?
Target.
It was from where did that come from? Where did Ross's? Marshall's or Ross, one of those places. Yeah, that's where I got it. And it's just fun. It's just funny sitting there, man. I wonder where my flat Earth map went. Oh yeah, Dave Hinkle. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I get that. I already covered all that earlier. Yeah, I haven't watched this new one yet. I just seen he put it out. I'll check it soon. Austin Beber. Check out. I've done a bunch of videos on depression. Check them out. I've done ones on solving for it and dealing with it. Like as in, there's not a problem. Just be depressed. You need to take a nap. That's why it's called deep rest. Take a nap. It's your body's accumulation or wastefulness or whatever you've done. You've spent your energy and now you need to rest to recharge. That's what depression is. And most people don't do anything about obtaining their currency back, their energy back by actually taking a nap and getting into what is deeper delta wave sleep. Most people are superficial sleeping and they're not going into the healing modality in the deeper delta realms. So sleeping is exceptionally important. You should be sleeping. If you're depressed, you should be sleeping 18 hours in delta. But most people probably in theta. And so if you look into my videos that I've made on depression, look into that. And then also find ways of getting yourself into delta sleep. And I have videos on the breathing mechanics of getting yourself, even if you're not in delta sleep, just to be in delta breathing and brain patterns while you're awake to do the healing on the body, because that's where the heaviest amounts of healing take place. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Serenity Prayer, David Hinkle. Yeah, the depression. I don't think, you know, that I don't think people need to think about what they can control in their life during depression. I think they need to think about how to heal themselves. You can't add more things onto someone's plate. Like, what can I do about all of these things that are going on in the world? No, that's the reason people are depressed, because they've been too focused on all the things they need to control, and because they end up becoming control freaks, that they end up taking too much onto their plate, putting the weight of the world on their shoulders, and then being literally compressed to a point of needing deep rest, where they need to not think about a damn thing. They don't need to be praying to anybody. They don't need to be trying to think about the little things they control. They need to actually instill themselves with some life force and some energy. And that energy is what they're missing. And that's why people are deep rest. I'm glad that the meds saved your life, Night Angel. I would never suggest to anybody to do them, though. I mean, if they helped you, I'm glad you got through the drugs, because a lot of people take a very different path than you, man. So that's cool. A bunch of cannibals everywhere. What's up, Mr. Stockholm? Good to see you, man. I get some of your comments, man. I appreciate it, Mr. Stockholm. They're trying to scare you away with all... Well, what do you think? They're using black magic all day, and every single institution you've ever dealt with is using black magic, especially the church. I've done plenty of videos on that. The church has been using black magic since the beginning of creation. It's quite funny. That's why you always put, you know, behind the door is all of the demons and the things, and oh, it's all scary back here, and that's where they're doing all of the creation work. And the creation always done in the dark, less the black magic, and deals with the Eve and the moon rituals and the earth magic mother rituals, and they're doing plenty of black magic everywhere. You're doing black magic every time you go to sleep. You're doing black magic every time you close your eyes and imagine something. That's black magic. Oh, thank you. Well, awesome, David Hinkle. What's up, Demetrius? Death and the Nature of Existence, Spiritual Perspective, Gnostic, and the Alchemist. Yeah, I mean, I'll do a whole video on that. Like, that's... Yeah, I only got a little more time on here for this one. But... yeah, I'll do... I've touched on that in the last couple videos. I got into the... Dead Lives Matter. Check that one out. The Dead Lives Matters. I speak about death and the nature of experience. Spiritual perspective versus Gnostic versus Alchemist. I mean, the basics of that is everyone is spiritual, and spiritual comes out of knowing, which is Gnostics. And the Alchemists are the ones that use the wisdom of the knowing. You come into a spiritual vessel, and then you become a Gnostic, and you start to know things, and then you alchemize the things that you know. So upon knowing, then you take those pieces. I know this piece of information, and I take this piece of information, and I alchemize it to make a piece of information that is more organized. There's a higher order, of a higher pattern, of a higher frequency. Maybe not higher. You know, I hate people that get into all this, like, everything's got to be, raise your frequency. No, don't raise your frequency. Adjust it to where you need to be. Like, people that are depressed, we'll use this. If people are depressed, you don't want to raise your frequency. You want to actually lower your frequency. If you're very depressed and you're tired, what do you want to do? When you go to bed at night, you want to lower your frequency. You want to get into literally lower frequency range in the brain and in the body. to heal and to energize yourself, because those lower ELO waves, those extra very low slow waves, that's where the healing modalities are taking place. So you want to actually lower your frequency. I'm going to start a whole campaign, lower your frequency, because most people on the planet, they don't want to be upping their frequency. They're going to burn themselves out. They burn their brains out. They think they know everything. They got no grounding. They have no healing. They haven't gone through depression. Most people are depressed, but they won't accept the depression. They won't accept that they need to take a fucking nap. They need to lay down. They need to lower their frequency. They got to stop eating the high vibe foods. Everybody's out here, oh, eat the super high test $50 smoothie. Get on the blah. Like, no, and you're telling these people out here, most of these people are overweight, depressed, completely out of their minds, confused about everything, that they need to go out and start doing like high intensity modalities that are going to raise their frequency. That's not going to work for them. They need to go in the other direction. They need to lower their frequency. They need to actually fast, which is going to clean them out, which is going to do a lot to just throw their frequency all over the place. Then they need to take a nap, sleep in a bed, lay down flat, get in a delta mode, and be depressed. But and that, getting back to where I was going, is so the alchemist knows that. The alchemist knows that we're not always making a form that's higher, that we're taking two things and we're reforming. I'll take this and we'll create this. It's a separate form. It's maybe not higher, maybe not lower. It's just a different form that will be used for this certain application. You can take copper, and you can take a battery and copper, and you do a lot of things with that, right? I could take paper, and I could make a paper airplane out of it, or I could write a letter on it. It has two different purposes, but I've alchemized the gnosis of what that piece of paper is to use it for two different things. What am I teach I'm gonna teach a 3-year-old how to write a sigil? No, I'm gonna take a piece of paper, fold it up, and teach a little kid how to make a paper airplane, and throw the paper airplane in, and look at the amusement, look at the joy, look at the wonder. I'm gonna sit here, draw a sigil, and here's what you need to do. Yeah, probably somewhere in there, but like, let's be honest. If we understand what the use of the same ingredient is, I can go in the kitchen, I can cook using the same 5 ingredients. I can make you 50 different meals from 50 different countries, different cuisines. That's what the alchemist does. The Gnostic knows that there's 5 different ingredients. The alchemist takes those 5 ingredients and makes everything out of it. The spiritualist just goes, okay, funnel all this information and energy into my system, so then I can have knowledge of it and use it to create something with. Be a chef. So there you go. There you go, Demetrius. There's the answer. Wicked, man. Night Angel, all you did with depression was sleep and watch my videos. That's cool. Well, hopefully I made you more depressed, or helped get into those little wavelengths when you were depressed, to kind of trigger information to when you got up, there was more life in you, you know? It's like the awakening of the dead, huh? And okay, do you still see the objective to bring our memories through death? Oh no, I never. Okay, so the first part, you say, do I see the objective to bring our memories through death for conscious reincarnation? I never really believed in conscious reincarnation per se, because the reincarnation, I was saying, I think, to you specifically, whenever we've chatted, is there was about like reincarnation to me is when I wake up tomorrow morning. If I take a nap, I'm reincarnating. If I happen to change some level of awareness, there is a certain set of like, I'm in a new state of being. That's a reincarnation. The whole literally like, if I happen to make it to 72 years and I'm laying there on my deathbed and my spirit is removed from my body, in the sense of Dan Winter and in the sense of where I think people should be, I think we should have the capacity to do that, to be able to bring that awareness through whatever reincarnation would be, because nobody really knows. Well, there are some people that do really know, because this might be their second or third or fourth life that they chose to reincarnate in, or that you might be running a simultaneous situation where I'm in this life, I go to sleep tonight, and I'm in 2 other lives. So there's that. And then you say attaining immortality in waking life. I think that's interesting. I think I don't think it's a versus thing. I was actually funny enough speaking about this yesterday and saying that I think it's just a matter of making a choice of which one do you want. I think we're at the point of awareness that each individual inside your spacesuit, if you want to continue on in this life, go for it. You know, I don't think there's any. People have enough awareness of saying, "Hey, I know how to cleanse. I know that urine's going to do this. I know that clean water is going to do this. I know that my mind can change the chemicals that are putting out in my system. I know that I can have control over the strength in my body, the literal, like how my skin looks and functions. I can start doing things to adjust these. I know that every 9 months, 90% of my body is recreated. So I can recreate a body in 9 months, really? Now, if I took into that into my awareness and every day spent 100% of my time focused on recreating a body, man, I might be able to change all sorts of things about me. I might be able to change my eye color. I mean, anybody has seen somebody that's gone through like a fast. Anybody's seen somebody that started going from one diet to another, literally diet. They've changed their deity. They've gone from like a meat eating whatever diet to something else. They go, like, you look at them, you go, you literally can't see the same person. You're like, whoa, facial structure changed, their vibration, their energy changed, everything about them changed. They're a brand new person, literally. And people will tell you that have gone through that transition that they're like, I feel like a new person. I don't even know who that person was. So in that sense, I think there's a transition about that's immortal to a sense. You know, you're transitioning in this waking life all the time. And transcending the dimension. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of just what the dream world is. Everybody that can get out of body transcends this dimension. That's the word transcend. You know? I'm in this dimension, then I go somewhere else. And then even in this dimension, whatever you want to call it, if this is a realm or dimension, am I in the same one that I was yesterday? I don't know that anybody can really truly answer that, especially when you start to get into people that believe in the Mandela effect. I like to call it the Mandela, or they call it the Mandela effect. It's called the Mandala effect. And so once you start to get into what is time really, what is mind really, like I'm in a new dimension right now. If I so choose, I could draw myself a little mandala. You know, I look at that mandala, I focus on it, all of a sudden, like, things start to radically change and alter in my environment. Is that a new realm? Maybe. Illumis, check out the video that I did on white-black magic and the left hand and the right hand path. I'm not going to get into that here. The difference, I go into it a lot deeper, and I'm not going to do it here just because people think they know black magic is bad and white magic is good, but the reality is there's also full spectrum magic, and there is also, if you think the right hand, you know, some people are like, oh, the only path is the right hand path, the left hand path is evil. Like, no, did you remember you have two hands? You should know how to use both paths. You should know what both things are. You should have your angels and your demons inside of yourself and use them in whatever experience you need. Because if you think that angels are good and that demons are bad, you've completely lost yourself in this world. So yeah, check out my videos that I've done on that. Dave Hinkle, were you not here for the beginning of this video? Just, yeah, go back and watch the beginning of the video. I already covered the Uninsultables, and I just was talking about people that are so far, you know, without ego, or with so much of a strong, unhealthy ego that you can't insult them, no matter how like deranged and diseased they are. The more deranged and diseased someone is, the more uninsultable they are. You can't say anything to insult that person. The person won't even accept it. You know, and I said it, I used the sense of that, like, you know, that girl that's like 350 pounds, she's like, oh, but I'm sexy and I'm healthy, and like, no, actually you're very unhealthy. You're actually way outside of like any normal range of what health would be considered by anyone. And the fact that you just are deluded in your mind to believe that you're, you know, just shoving hot dogs and hamburgers down your throat, that you're somehow healthy. Like, you can't insult that person. You can't. So that was the kind of direction I was going. DJ, storing aged urine, yeah, man. Just put it in a clean glass jar, cover it with some cheesecloth, and put it in a place that isn't too warm. If you get it too warm, you might get some bacteria in there. So obviously, you know, what do they say about anything? Dark, cool, dry place, and then let it breathe. You want it to breathe through that cheesecloth. You're not making cheese though. Yeah, cool. So as always, people, you know how easy it is to use a turn signal? Does anybody drive a car here? Do y'all drive cars? Because when you drive a car, whenever you're going to change lanes, use a little turn signal. And how simple that is. It's just like hitting that up button right there. All you got to do is just just so simple. Just one little click. You're here for an hour. Driving for an hour. Just if you're going to change lanes, just say, hi, thanks, Zen. I appreciate your work you're doing here. And then I go, oh my God, look at all the thumbs up. I'm so righteous. I'm so important. People like me. No, but for real, just, you know, obviously it gets so when people look at my videos, they go, oh, people seem to like what he has to say. So then people can start to learn about magic. And they can get in the cult of drinking their piss. And be a bunch of goddamn piss drinkers together forever. Forever and ever. The immortal piss drinkers. Thank you, Super Champion Rocker. I like you too. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. I just squeezed out, juiced out. The wee pee people. I just juiced out 3 more likes there. Look at that. Austin Beber, was there a moment that everything changed for the better in my life? I don't know, man. I've had so many. I'm very Geministic, man. I'm Looney Tunes. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm on cloud 9. Sometimes I'm like, ugh, dig myself a grave. You know, I go through those same things with anybody. I don't know. There's certain specific moments that are like more impressive upon my awareness and capacity to, like, you know, there's like, for instance, when did I feel comfortable being on camera versus when did I feel comfortable speaking? Like, I used to write because I didn't like the sound of my voice on these things. I couldn't stand it. So it's like, man, I'd like to make these videos, but I don't like the sound of my voice. There's no way I'm gonna take a picture of myself with the sound of my voice on here. I don't like it. And then one day I was like, oh, actually, I don't mind the sound of my voice. So there was a point there, you know. And there was a point years ago. You know, you come across little pieces of information that kind of make you more aware to things. You know, the flat Earth thing was a pretty big day. Once I came to pretty certain awareness that the Earth was flat, there was something that adjusted in my consciousness. Definitely when I did my water fast. I did a 40-day water fast. That was pretty huge. Then there's other just little specific instances of me, like having like 5 or 6, you'd call them either deja vu or synchronicities, or I made a sigil and that shit happened kind of events that happen like in a row that are just like, okay, this is not exactly what I thought it was here on this dimension. And then obviously getting out of body. So I have like, there's times of like different levels of awareness, and getting out of body was another big one. When you can literally just go, I'm 100% sure that my body is sitting right there and I'm standing right here. And then when I was able to run multiple realities at the same time, basically like an Inception dream where I had 3 bodies simultaneously in 3 different realms, that was pretty. That was definitely different. Katesh, what are you talking about? Oh, to your email? Oh, I don't know. Probably never. I'm right here with you right now. I'll reply to you today, Katesh. I have a very big fan base now, so I get a lot of emails. I got a fax machine over here. It is just, you know, basically faxes coming in all day. You know, I got a whole delivery system. I'm like Santa Claus here, you know. Gary, yes, I very, very human, but sometimes not at all. Yeah, Gary, you know, I used to not like my own voice. Now I actually like it. I don't mind it. In fact, it's very comforting to me. Not, I mean, I always liked it, the sound of it coming out of me, but then hearing it on here coming back to me, I was like, whoa, is that what I sound like? That's terrible. I'm going to stop talking. It's like, can I just go ahead and just just go ahead and get rid of the vocal cords now? And then I just said, I will just accept it. That's what it sounds like. And then once I accepted it, it started to alter. It started to change. And then I started to modulate the frequencies. What up, Doobie Brown? Ah, wow, that's some Doobie coming out of nowhere with the huge questions. I like that. Your body is of a cosmic soul. I would say the cosmic spirit. You don't get a soul, but I hear what you're saying. I think there's just a difference in language there. The soul doesn't reside in a human being. It resides everywhere. So we'd say that like the God form, the larger etheric construct, that's the soul. It's like a soup. And then the spirit. So yeah. And then once the receiver goes defunct, does the soul channel elsewhere? Okay, so but does the spirit, once again, does the spirit channel elsewhere? Yes. And that, think of times that maybe you get drunk or whatever, like, oh, where did I go? Well, you drank a spirit jumped in your body, and your spirit went somewhere else. Maybe just took a nap. And it's the same thing with getting out of body too. Think about it in that sense. If you ever have those dreams or getting deeper levels out of body, like in the same way, when this body shuts down and you get into that really deep theta sleep, and then you pull your spirit out of your body, like you can access and understand that. So is there a transmitter sending these essences? Yeah, that's interesting. People consider, like, is there like another upgraded version of us? Are we on this plane, and then one plane up is a higher version, a higher frequency of us that is literally kind of, use it like a funnel, that up there we're dealing with time in a different way, because it's like, you have that nap on the couch where 5 minutes went by, but you just had a dream that was an hour long. You're in that space where it's an hour long, where you control what's going on down here. That seems to be like the higher self, or the transmitting force. And there obviously seems to be something well beyond that too. And some people claim to have touched it or been there. And I mean, I can say from the sense of, yeah, I think transmitting is that level of awareness and consciousness that once you can get out of body, then you can see it. Like, you see what the soul is. And then once you can have another level running where I see tomorrow happen, and then I have that deja vu where I walk into that event that I saw last night that I actually programmed in my dream. That's when I go, oh, I'm running the operating system here. I wrote a book a long time ago, and I'm running through the pages, and then I woke up there. I woke up here, and I was like, oh, I got the editing software. Okay, pull these pages out. Let's erase this, scribble this shit out. I got the pen right here. And that's the idea of having the pen, the pentagram. The body is the pentagram or the pen, and becoming the editor for your own story. And you just go, oh, I'm going to start writing this shit out. And you can either write it out, or you can write it out consciously in the dream world. And that's what a lot of people do. Savan talks about that quite often in a lot of his earlier work, where you basically program your next day. And then you say, people talk about living the dream. Well, because they literally got out of body and started amplifying and changing and putting things over here and doing this, and then walked into those experiences. And so I think you have, like, that higher soul group. Those people that you come in contact with, that you're like, how do I know this person? But you just feel that bond. Like, that's like one level up. That you're like, oh, there's the 7 of us or 8 of us up there that actually are funneling information down here. We're all sitting up there just playing around, like, yo, wake these dudes up down here. Let's get going. Let's get back up here. Let's start moving around on this plane. I think, and when you're a child, you're kind of connected directly to that. and then that gets shut off somewhere around 5 years old, and then you start to rebuild that connection back to whatever you'd call the source. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, Doobie. And we are being that. I think it's involved in re-becoming what we were, right? You didn't have the awareness of the shit you do now that you know when you're 6 years old. You have none of this. And then all of a sudden you actually go downhill until maybe you're like 12, 13, 14, or then you get that, wherever it is in your life, maybe 20, maybe 25, maybe earlier, but you get that awareness of something's not right here, or where's my connection to something, and then you start collecting that information that bring you back into form of higher self. I don't like to use the term higher self, but it seems to be of something that's inside of you that's kind of like sitting, hovering above you, as like the elusive 8th chakra. You know? And can I grab that and pull that into me and be that thing? You know? And you can do that with, obviously, external sacraments of, say, psilocybin or dimethyltryptamine or whatever substances. But those are just back doors, and those are just like compression gateways into something that then you explode out of, and you don't. It's what was it that was there? That's just like getting out of body and not having the backpack to carry back all the information to this realm. And so I think there's a really great thing in using psychedelics for people to jump up on that trampoline to look over the fence. But then once you are capable of doing without it, you actually get to climb over the fence and bring the information back. So that, like, there's plenty of people that have taken DMT trips and they go, man, I've seen everything. I could tell you how I've seen it all, but they can't communicate. They have no idea how to speak it forth. But then there's people that can communicate exactly a DMT trip, having never done DMT, the tree, right? Never having done that, but they speak it. Like, I would say there's a lot of things, if you go through my videos, that I'll talk about getting out of body and things, and having pieces of information that are directly associated to what a DMT trip is, but I've never done DMT. I've done other things, but I was able to actually bring back some of that information with me. And most people just leave it there in that realm. And part of doing that without any substance is literally getting out of body and having access to what is your spirit or your higher self. And hopefully in the future, the idea of becoming, God creating man so man could become God is taking your spirit and putting it into your body and walking as you would on the other realm. So, was that any good? Did you guys like that? Was that fun? Yeah, Reza, eat the food and become the fool. There's a huge connection to eating the food. The first thing we did was densify ourselves. That's why the first sin of whatever was consuming this world. Take a big bite into that, to the apple. The big bite into the globe, a big bite into like physicality, and then you take your physical spirit that was just vibrating really high. All of a sudden, that density goes into your mouth and then spits itself out and becomes your body and your skin. And you're like, oop, I'm dense in this realm now. I'm stuck in this realm until I lose that density of whatever it is I've been consuming. This is why people say raise your vibration. But a lot of people shouldn't be raising their vibration because they got a lot of things to get rid of first before you start raising vibrations. Yeah, Doobie, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So yeah, all of this stuff, through all the videos that I kick out here, man, it's always about trying to reclaim. People say a lot of different words to mean the same thing, and some people get caught up on the words, like reclaim your godship, your kingship, your queenship, reclaim your your immortality, reclaim your power, reclaim, and it's getting into those mindsets and spaces of saying, oh, I do have more control over this system than I thought I did. And that system being not only do I have a keyboard to play with, but now all of a sudden I can actually get inside of my brain, remove my brain, and put it back together the way I want it. That's the next level. That's the really what we're talking about. We're talking about like getting rid of the framework, getting rid of the hardware and the operating system, and just junking it. Saying, using that software system that is part of that hardware system, that is part of that operating system, we have to just throw it all out because it's based upon a system that uses binary coding. And I don't binary code anything. I'm using an operating system in my mind, not me, but this is how people work, that is yes or no, on or off, black or white, good or bad. But now if I just go, no wait, my operating system doesn't work in binary, all of a sudden I change that. I could change it to trinary, quad, we could upgrade it to any number we want, or we could do it singular. I work, there's no binary, it's just unified field theory, quantum mechanics in the brain. There's one thing, it's whatever I say goes. That's the magic. That's the God form thoughts creating manifest world. Or for people that can't handle that quite yet, instead of compressing from binary down to unification of the theory of everything, the big toe, we let a little more, we decompress a little more and say, okay, let's use a trinary system. So that way, instead of saying right and wrong, we go, well, left and right, and well, there's something here. And then if a triangle is too confusing for people, okay, well, let's square it up then. Okay, let's use 4 things. We got 4 options here. Somebody goes, 4 options? I thought it was just blue or red. I thought it was just Democrat or Republican. I thought it was right or wrong. No, you got 4 choices. Whoa. Well, these two kind of line up. These two, okay, you want 5 choices? So then people go, 5 is too much. Okay, let's go back to 3. 3 choices. 3 choices is good. And so a lot of people need to get into understanding what a trinary system is. And that trinary system will give them that balance, that equilibrium, to actually sit in a place of saying on, off, or hyperposition. It means not right now, or I'm not quite sure. And then leave that as an open system, literally in hyperposition. We don't accept it, and we don't discredit it. We go, I don't have enough information to supply an answer to that, to qualify if this is a good or bad position to take on this whatever system. Before it's like yes or no, say yes or no now, yes or no, yes, no, yes, and all of a sudden you come out with this code that is like, they're like, well, I don't know, this doesn't seem right. This answer doesn't seem right because some of these things, I don't know, that yes wasn't really a yes, it's just a not right now. I'm not really like later. Like somebody says to me right now, you got to tell me you want chocolate. I'm like, well, no, I mean, I love chocolate. Yes or no? And I check no. It means I can never have chocolate. I'm like, what the fuck just happened there? I love chocolate. I just don't want it right now. All of a sudden, now we see that trinary system is all about creating time. Because the next part of the system is saying, okay, we're not talking about what do you want right now, but let's create environments and spaces inside of time to give us, here's this thing, now here's this thing, and here's this thing. Jump into each one. That's 3 different things. Now make a 4th thing, make a 5th thing. And that's what a trinary system allows. It's what a singular system really allows too. And much easier, right? It's much easier in the singular system. People just can't accept it. So we'll just say, we'll make it a trinary system. But if it's a binary system, all we got is the outcome of one solution. Light is on or light is off. Darkness or light. What do you want? Another way we can do it is just say, hey, here's a 7 color system. Oh, you don't like 7 colors? Here's a 9 number system. You don't like 9 numbers? Here's a 26 letter system. Is 26 not enough? Okay, there's actually 52 letters there. We tricked you. Okay, how much more do you want? You want 360 degrees in a circle? Oh, there's not enough. You want to make that circle bigger? Okay, fine, 720 degrees. How many options do you want? Yeah, the original sin was when Eve ate the apple. Eating the apple was the sin. Eating the apple was what put us in sin. Sin is sine wave, S-I-N-E. It's a sign, S-I-G-N. The sign is literally whatever it is. Here's a sign. Here's a sine wave. A sin is off of the beaten path. Here's that straight and narrow line. Whoop. Now, if I just do that, I've created a sine and a cosine. It's a sine wave. So once you eat of the apple, what you've done is you've created spirit. So you have spirit, which was Adam and Eve, which is everything, and then ate the thing. So that eating of the thing created density. And in density, we find sine waves and division. And the sine is all about the divisive system of dividing what's above the line and what's below the line. Sine, cosine. And so the apple is the symbol for 5. There's 5 points. It's a pentagram. It's a 5-pointed star inside of the apple. This even is why we use Apple computers, to go a little farther, but it has to do with your phi physical cycle, phi cycle. Your 5, phi is phi, plus a v, which is 5, or F-I-V-E. No matter how you spell it, how you break it down, but it's talking about the same thing, the physical, the phi cycle universe. The physical universe was created out of the original sin. The original sin is the original sine wave, which is the eating of the dense world, which is the gods and goddesses were just like floating around doing anything we wanted, but we were unable to create memory to any long degree because the capacity to hold water and light, being a mystic, it's hard to contain because it's mist. It's everywhere. You're traveling through it like an ether. But to densify something is to give the form, which is the physical body, which is made of earth, which was the apple, that then holds the water and the light. And the water and the light is the blood and the way that your eyes see, the way that your brain works. Memory, meaning water and light, becomes the thing that our body is a container for. The memories of all things, which is then compressed and held into the tiny little immortal cell, the immortal seed of your creation, which doesn't die. And if we learn how to access that immortal cell, we can pull that immortal cell out of our body into who was that? Demetrius was asking earlier. That's taking that immortal cell and either pulling it out of our body during sleep or afterlife or whatever we're doing with it. And so that was the original sine wave. Witsa Wakan. Psilocybin, what mental phenomenon awareness occurs with this chemical that can be installed in a daily life? I mean, when you look into what microdosing does, that just, you're increasing awareness and focus. It opens up your eyes a little more. You're taking more light in. So anything you're doing gives a heightened sense of awareness to. And so there's other things. So there's other things you can do that run analogous, like an analogy. It's to the same structure of what it's doing. So there's, you could drink coffee to be more hyped up, or you could also do cocaine, but it seems like coffee is the better choice. And then it's better choice to not use the coffee beans with all the chemicals on it. And then, and then we could use some epimedium. We could use some horny goat weed. You could use all sorts of different things. You're going to have similar chemical constructs of putting the body or the mind into a position to do something. So psilocybin increases awareness and focus. And so, use that in microdoses is a great idea if you can find it, And if you can't, there's plenty of other substances that will have a very similar algorithm. And I try to say that word again, I'm going to screw it up. Super Champion Rocker. Yeah, I did that all in the beginning of the video, man. Or woman. I think you're a woman. I don't know. I forget. Well, yeah, I mean, Gary, there you go. I mean, hopefully I answered that fully for you. Carnal relations is, look at it. Carnal relations is carnivorous. Carnivorous is to eat. Carnivore is meat. It doesn't mean meat of an animal. It just means, the physical object. So to have a carnal relation is to eat an apple. It's not just to have sexual relations. Eating an apple is just as physical. Eating an apple is more physical than having sex. There's still the creation that's occurring from it, and the creation is the bonding. It's the bonding of the physicality with the spiritual. And that was the first thing. What's up, Barbara Koger? Yeah, Reza Satan is Satan, which is 1 and 0, which gives you everything in life, which is the binary system. The original, well, not the original binary system, but it gives you an idea of the dark and the light. Microdose, I mean, look, you'd have to do the research yourself. I'm not gonna tell you how to do drugs on my I'm gonna tell you how to do illicit drugs on my channel, man. You do that research for yourself. That's easy stuff. I mean, not that I really care, but you know, if you don't know what microdosing is and say 1, you do the research, man, before you start trying to find chemicals to jam in your body. I mean, shit. You might as well find out. Might as well know a little bit more about food in general before we start putting that in the body. See, hey, Doobie, you can't. You know what? There's no cheating. That's just basically like taking the spaceship, but you don't get to go back there again. You know what I mean? Like, you get to build yourself your own ship to go there, but taking the spaceship or jumping on the trampoline or taking the back door or going in the side door, whatever as they would call it, like that concept of having that key, the skeleton key to go in the side door rather than just walking in the front door. Walking in the front door of consciousness and awareness is coming upon, like, usually through, it tends to be some sort of like fasting ritual, which ends up cleansing the body so you get your body back to the point that it was originally. And this is why a lot of substances are actually, like, all of these other substances, you're actually cleansing the body spiritually and physically from toxins. You'll end up throwing up. You'll end up getting, having the shits. You'll clean yourself out because all of these things are bitter, angelic elements that that push things out of the body. And so you're actually changing the chemical components, you're changing the chemistry as well as the electrical components of the mind, and also changing the physical structure of the body by removing toxic overloads that are literally probably in your organs and in your brain. Because you can't really tell how all of these chemicals are working. There's no way of testing everything that's going on in the body. But yeah, it's good to peek in there once in a while, let you know what's going on there, that gives you motivation. See, it can steer people away from that spiritual journey. They have that, oh, we're out of here. Or it could, oh, well, that's what's there? Okay, well, there's a way to get there without just dosing yourself on the mushroom all the time. There's a way of doing it without that. A super champion rocker, okay. Alright, dude. There you go, the I and the O and the Phi. You can see it on my finger. It's right there. See that? Oh, it's red and it's not really able to see, but I'm not flicking y'all off. That is the Phi symbol. Oh, it's been that long. okay. What's the walk on? Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know who you are on here. So yeah, if it's been that long, maybe it's time for another trip, or maybe go another route. Take the other journey, which would tend to be towards, because everything does have DMT in it. Let's remember this. All these plants out here got DMT in it. So if you start cleansing yourself, you can find that singular plants, after doing a water fast, one single thing, you'll know exactly what you're eating. You'll blast off into whatever that element is. If you've cleaned your alchemical retort, your system, out to the point that one little element affects you. Imagine, like, most people out here probably drink enough where, it's going to take you 4 beers to get a little buzz. But remember the first time, a beer, you're like, oh, or that glass of wine, you're in there. Think about cleaning your body to that point where any element or any substance will take you to another place. And then even going so far as back as we don't even need to consume it. Actually, we can just walk up and smell the flower. Because the aromacology, the aromatherapy, the aroma, which is the knowing gnosis, having complete knowledge, it's literally directly sending that chemical signal to the brain that can transcend you and send you to a different place completely. I've smelled some things that I was like literally pretty much started tripping balls. I smelled a couple things like, what is this? Where did it come from? And there was a good 5 or 10 minutes. I was just like, where am I? Like, I know that I'm in New Orleans, I'm pretty sure, but like, it was a very tough, like, how did that smell become so intense right there off of that plant that it really connected me to that frequency of that plant that I was bound to that. And I wasn't, man, I don't do drugs. I am drugs, you know? What up, Crater? Yeah, rambling on is correct. Always. Rambling on into people's consciousness. Yeah. Yeah, Reza, I feel so definitely because urine will affect me directly. Yeah, there's definitely a change in the state of mind, especially once again, you start to go through these cleanses, and then that urine really be doing some things to you. What up, Jordan? 28 days off, and you was talking to yourself. That's awesome. What up, Carly Engo? Yeah, I know all about Santos Bonacci. Oh, so Jordan, while you're here, because I didn't get around to typing back because typing back just takes, I don't have a keyboard. I do this on my phone. So, you still here, Jordan? Tell me, say yes. Oh, dude, Doobie, I don't mind. Like, I end up answering a lot of questions in redundancy, and because I've never seen you before, if you ask me something that I've already answered, and it's not too basic, I'm happy to dig in. So cool, man. And Doobie, I'll talk to you in 1 second about that. But Jordan, I would say, as always, dig into the history of the Japanese kakubutans and the futons and how their bedding systems work. And I think that's the most righteous way to go about understanding how we should be sleeping, especially when it comes to the organic materials. I've talked about this at length, about the different kinds of things that we should be covering our bodies with, and getting into how to get out of body. And if we start putting, say, polyester sheets on us, it's actually the frequency of polyester is not helping our spirit to get outside of that layer of clothing, right? If you wear some polyester, like, first of all, you're not breathing when you're walking outside, which is difficult. But then you get inside and you're underneath literally, because polyester is plastic, you're underneath a plastic sheet, you might as well be dead. No wonder they say we're getting up in the morning. So when we start to look into these materials, there's a good reason to look into the hemps, to look into the organic cottons and things like this, and the bamboo that they would put the beds on. So they put the futon on the bamboo, and they would have silk sheets and et cetera, and they would have the pillows would be made out of either, I think they have rice pillows, and they have another kind of bean that they use for the pillows that are just really genius. And then there's also a couple other pillows that are kind of higher level stuff that I'll talk about another time. But that opposed to you were talking about the, I believe it was the latex mattresses. Now, if they're coming directly from a good source of rubber and whatever, I just don't know. I don't know much about, like, the use of rubber trees in making a bed. And I know it can be hypoallergenic, all of these things, but I don't know what that's doing really for grounding ourselves. Let's use that essence of, we want to make sure that our physical body is grounded so our spirit can get out of our body, and that we sleep correctly so that we're doing the most good for our body while it's in a sleeping state, and the most good for our spirit to be able to get out of body and to energize at the other stations. And so as far as I can tell, it seems like I would look into the cultures that have been long lasted, and how have those more ancient cultures been sleeping. Look into those you know, the Indian cultures. Look into the Chinese cultures. See what kind of beds they've been using, and um, you know, that's the way I'd probably go with it. That's what I've been using. And as far as the, you know, again, the rubber trees and all that, I don't really know a lot about it and what it's doing to the body because I've never used it. So it's hard for me to just say, yeah, go the route of the latex bed. I mean, but I do know that, like, obviously, using latex isn't a good idea when it comes to having sex. So I don't know that I want my body to be on top of some latex if I wouldn't put it on my on my genitals, you know. How much are you trying to throw out for a bed though, you know? Because like I mean, obviously a bed should cost a little bit, and it's probably going to cost you like a G note easy. I mean, especially considering I know when I was looking at beds, the latex ones were kind of expensive. Oh yeah, Doobie Brown here, and Jordan, I'll come back to yours. I'm just going to answer Doobie's question. Um, Intermittent daily fasting. I've been doing 5 years. My fast. Here's fasting. Here's the complete answer to fasting. Fasting should be done during the daytime. If you're going to fast as intermittent daily fasting, your eating should be done like Ramadan style. It should be sundown, and there's a billion reasons for this. I mean, maybe not a billion. Well, the billion cells that you have in your body will be thankful that you eat at night, because that's the time everything's going on with digestion. You don't want to eat during the day because your body shouldn't be in the mode of digesting anything during the daytime. Your body should be in, okay, where's all my energy coming from? Think of it, if you were to eat at noon, as soon as you eat, you have to go through the digestion process. That's not giving you energy. You don't get that energy from that food until the next day, until it's processed through your system to give you whatever it is from that food to store up and use it as an energy supply. So for me, fasting, you do it for a day or you do it for 4 days or more. 2 and 3 day fasts are very bad because your body will be eating away at the protein from muscles to create glucose in the first 3 days. And after the third day, your body stops removing any proteins to create, well, not any, it just goes down to such a very low number. You're maybe like 8 grams, I think. I believe in the first 3 days, it's something like 70 grams a day of protein that breaks down to become glucose to run the body. But then after 3 days of not consuming food, when you're just drinking water, your body goes into the next state of saying, okay, we're shutting off all the systems. Now let's start eating away fats, cancers, old cells, the weakest material in the body. So fasting for more than 3 days is a genius idea. Fasting for 2 or 3 days, especially people that do it all the time, you're going to see that they become very unhealthy, very sick, and very skinny because they've actually eaten away at their musculature system. And that's why people that do, that have eating disorders, they tend to not eat for 2 to 3 days. And that's what's making them so skinny. If they were to actually just do a long-term fast, they'd be extremely healthy. Or if they were to only fast for a day, fasting for a day is genius. You should, the best way you can eat is to not eat during the day and eat at sundown. Just play like every day's Ramadan. Whatever. It doesn't have to be religiously oriented. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that the concept that they use of eating at sundown is genius for a lot of different reasons. That you should wake up in the morning, and the only thing you should have in the morning really is either A, your urine, B, distilled water, juice if you think it's necessary. That's really about it. There's not much you should be consuming in the morning. Maybe coffee, because if you've eaten a big meal the night before, you want to use that coffee as a ritualistic process to move what was in the system from last night out. That's the use of coffee. It's not to have all the chemicals and the addiction and drink it all day. It's literally for a purpose so you can wake up, have your tobacco if you're using the right kind of tobacco, meaning it's not been sprayed with all the chemicals along with the coffee. You're making espresso out of the coffee, and you're having tobacco in the morning as a ritual. You go ahead and you have your bowel movement, and then you have energy throughout the day, and then you eat at sundown, which makes you tired, compresses your body, puts yourself into, first you'll go into the right stage of sleep. You'll go into delta sleep, and then you'll go into theta, where you'll start to be able to get out of body. You'll wake up in the morning, have your bowel movement, and then repeat the cycle. That's the easiest, best, most healthy way to eat. So hopefully that answered that, Doobie. And the other thing you can do, and when we say intermittent and like the ideas of that, like, yeah, keep the body in guessing games. Like, I'm not saying to straight do that every day. Some days I'll eat all day long. I don't care. Some days I'll wake up and I'll just want to eat because that's what I feel like doing. And some days I won't eat for 5 days. Some days I'll take a day off. Sometimes I'll not eat until sundown. There's oftentimes I find whenever I'm really energized and want to do things and I have things going on, especially during the summer, I won't eat until sundown. I have more energy throughout the day, and that's the way that I work most of the time during the summer. During the winter, I find myself probably eating a little bit more, as I think people should, especially. And then that goes into where do you live, because you should be eating local. There's a big reason for that. It has to do with your blood viscosity, the thickness of your blood. So this whole thing of people getting into, as I go a little farther here, Doobie, just as things I've spoke about before, but everybody trying to get on this raw fruit diet. It's not a good idea. It's dumb. It's very unaware. It's not conscious at all to want to get onto a raw fruit diet. Take that raw fruit diet to a Canadian that has winter about, 8 months a year. And how are they going to be, how would they do that? First of all, they'd have to get their fruit from somewhere else. So all of a sudden we've cut down a lot of conscious awareness ideas and then we get into the food that they should be eating, because it is the winter. They should have a fire going, and that fire should actually be stewing and cooking the food. So they're eating actually the underground tubers in situations that are occurring that are starchy and more fibrous. So that way during the winter, their body actually creates a little more fat, and also their blood becomes thicker, so that way when they walk outside in the cold, they don't get cold as quick. It's the process that is already offered to you very obviously and naturally from nature. And so people that get on all these fruit diets and all this nonsense, if you don't live in the right climate for it, it's a bad idea. It's very unhealthy. It will make you sick. And so you find a lot of people that get sick off of doing these things that were so-called healthy because they have no idea of what serves them purposefully locally. And locally means, where am I right now? What would serve me right now? If it's 20 degrees outside, there's no way I'm going to be wanting to eat strawberries. You know what? I'm going to want some hot cocoa. Why? Because the fats from the milk is going to be very, very good for me. The warmth is going to be good for me. The cocoa is going to be super healthy. Then I'm going to make it really Mayan or Aztec, and I'm going to throw a little cayenne pepper in there, a little cardamom, and all of a sudden I'm going to be finding all these things that are actually suited to the temperature outside and the temperature of my body and the viscosity of what's going on in my system. You say you want to share a bed. You want to share a bed? I'm going to go back to what you're talking about here, though. Yeah. So Jordan, I don't mean to make it more complicated for you, but just, I just say that just so you can do your own research and come to your own conclusion on it. But I think, it seems to me that the organic cotton seems to be just the simple, obvious way to go. Especially when you get into the bamboo underneath it, allowing it to breathe, and just the kind of methodology and thought process that they had going into it. If it's been working for 10,000 years, maybe that's what we should continue with, unless there's some good reason, great reason that, you think you've looked into it and people are saying, oh yeah, the latex or whatever is the good way to go. Maybe it is. I'm not against the technology and the upgrading of what materials we're using. Yeah, the grounding bed sheet's a good idea too. Especially considering, most people, you give these people, see, this goes in Reza, you make a good point, and as I'll go a little further in here. People say, give you all these ideas. Here's where you need your bed. Here's what you got to eat. Here's all the things you need to do. But if you live on the 4th floor in New York City, in the Bronx, you you're not going to be able to do all of these things with your bed. You're not going to be able to eat these certain kind of diets. You're going to need to adjust accordingly. And having something that you plug into the wall to ground out your bed is the only way you're going to be able to go about it. But it's going to be better than, you know, obviously sleeping on the ground outside is the way to go. But I don't think anybody that's living in any major city is going to be able to do that. So we work within what we can and use the technologies around us to, you know, benefit us. Wiz laws. Really Chinese? What does IIRC mean? Been consuming placenta 2,000 years. Yeah, what's wrong with consuming placenta? You think there's a problem with consuming placenta? Why wouldn't you consume the placenta? I mean, we got fuckers out here that are like eating asshole on a first date. And you got a problem with eating the placenta of the woman that you've spent your life with, and you're about to create a baby, and you just created a baby, and here's all of this coming out of here. Like, that's somewhat weird or disgusting or strange when all of the other animal kingdoms do it, but people out here just like digging up an asshole on a first date. That's nasty. You out here eating shit, and these people are like literally part of the system that they just created and consuming it, and that's weird. Yeah, oyster mushrooms are what's up. Yeah, I just funny enough, Wiz Laws, I just made some mushroom pasta the other day, just yesterday. Carly Engel, I don't really give too much thought to it. I kind of give, you know, I think that's for specialized. I'll do a whole talk on that though. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I kind of stick with the master's question of who is asking. You know, why do you care about a past life or a future life? And I always get into it from the level of like, why is it that everybody that supposedly has a past life, they were the king of fucking Egypt? You was the queen of France in the 1400s. Like everybody, you know, there's royal heritage. I'm like, yeah, okay, but who are you now? What's going on right now? How is that past life benefiting you now? To me, knowing about a past life has specialized circumstances is a benefit and a good idea, but it's the same thing. People get obsessed with that. The same way they're like still like worried about what's going on in World War II. Like that shit is done, B. You ain't living in World War II. We ain't living in 1600s, and you ain't the king of Egypt no more, are you? You know, so. Doobie Brown, wicked. So if there's anything you need help on nutritionally wise to have some understanding, I give many different lessons that on nutrition. Especially you need to know what the word nutrition means and where it comes from. Nutrition comes from nut or nux. It comes from light. To be a proper nutritionist, you need to understand the living law of light. And that's the colors and food signatures. You know, if you don't know about food signatures, get into food signatures, the signs of their nature, and how they link up with the organs in the body and the different colors. Because the color spectrums and those vibrations that are coming into those foods that then become eating the light, taking the rainbow bridge, and realizing that nutrition is all about, you know, the Joseph and his Technicolor dream coat. Of course, Doobie. Coffee is a diuretic. Yes, this is correct. But again, the quality of its diuretic, the diuretic qualities of it are excessively amplified in this day and age because of how many chemicals on it. If you get the bean itself and dark roast it, and then turn it into an espresso, the diuretic qualities kind of go down, and it just helps to speed up the movement of the bowel movement. It doesn't turn it into diarrhea, you know. So we got to realize there's a lot of things that are diuretics, and a lot of things that, you know, it's a good It's a good use. People need to have diuretics in their diet because a lot of people are full of shit that needs to be moved out of them. Gary Baxter, I believe so. I don't see why I wouldn't. I think basically, Gary, adding anything to your system besides water is going to keep the whole system functioning. If it has to do any digesting processes. The fact that apple cider vinegar probably has the same acidity level as the stomach, I don't know. I can't be for sure, but I'm pretty sure it would. Yeah, cool, Doobie. Watch the if you're saying about doing decaf coffee, you should be very, very aware that most coffee that is decaffeinated has become decaffeinated through chemicals. So if you want decaffeinated coffee, what you want to do is basically find the darker the roast. The darker the roast, the less caffeine, because the higher the temperature, you're cooking out a lot of the caffeine in it, basically. So the darker the roast has less caffeine. And then when you turn it into espresso, you're using pressure and you're using a higher temperature water for a less period of time, and so that the water isn't extracting as much of the chemicals that shouldn't be in your body, and it's not extracting as much caffeine. So people go normally like, oh, espressos, it's all full of caffeine. It's not. Espresso has the lowest amount of caffeine. Espresso is very healthy and very good for you. And there's somebody that, if you're into the nutrition world, I wish I could think, Paul Chek. Look up a video by Paul Chek. He talks all about espresso. Paul Chek and espresso. And he really explains the breakdown of what I'm doing. He does it more in depth. But espresso is the way to go, man. The decaffeinated man can be definitely more problems than it's worth, because you're getting more chemicals in your body than you are actually getting the real nutritional factors of what the bean was trying to provide. Cam, I would not use coffee following a meal. Definitely not, because you want to be able to, your body to process and digest the meal, to extract into the system what's needed. If you start putting coffee into the body, it's going to be talking to all of your colon, basically going, let's squeeze and get everything out of here. And so if you just put food in your body and all of a sudden you drink some coffee, not a great idea, because now you're not going to be able to digest the food properly, and you're going to be shitting it out before you're actually getting the nutrition from it. So you should always, there is a time period, definitely a delay that you should wait. Some cultures will, depending on, you'll find them drinking coffee at the end of a meal, but they're using espresso. At the beginning of the meal, they're probably using a bitter drink, like an alcoholic drink, a digestif to help digestion, help speed up digestion. Then eat the meal, and then the coffee at the end is usually later. Like there's a period. It's not the way that we eat. We're like, let's just eat then drink the coffee. There's a period of waiting, and they're drinking such a small amount of espresso that it's not as detrimental to the system as if you were to just drink coffee after a meal. Yeah, Wizlaw, if you're really there, like eating is, so why people get into doing something and all of a sudden they forgot to eat. Like that's in a good way. That's gonna be good for a lot of people. It's good that they're not eating. It's helping them. I mean, what they might be working on, like if they're sitting on a computer all day, there's a lot of dilemmas there. But oh, electric towel. You want me to do this electric? You sent me the thing. I'm gonna organize a video on that. I don't know if I might just do that a one directional video. I don't know if I'll turn it into like a back and forth. But yeah, the electric magnetic food we'll get onto. Carly Engel, am I a Sagittarius? No. Gary Baxter, don't give it away. They gotta guess these things. You gotta guess. Aldrin, sure. A long-term fast after you ate meat? Sure, why not? Meat eating is not the like. Meat eating ain't the problem, everybody. You know, people get into that way too, way too heavy, man. It's if you can do it, the only reason it might not be a good idea right after is because your body is still going to be wanting and desiring things. It's always easier to do a fast after, say, doing a couple days of a lead up to it, meaning like, let me do a couple days of psyllium, let me do a couple days of juices. Well, that makes it easier to get into the mind frame and the bodily, like not having the kind of little bit of, oh, I need meat, I need something. But there's never really a bad time for a long fast. What up, Caleb Caudell? Nah, I have not been to the Seven Sisters Oak Tree in Manville. I'll check it out though. There's a couple cool trees around the parks out here though that I've been to. Ooh, love Katesh magnets. I've used magnets now and then for healing things. It's hard to say their benefits, but I've always respected the people that have done the work, and you know, it seems like obviously magnets are doing something. I don't know directly which way to use them. I know there's like north versus south that's doing something. Like one is going to be pushing energy into you, and one's going to be pulling energy out of you. So I think there's a way to use them properly if you want to. You know, putting them in opposite directions are going to do something different, right? It's kind of like using the idea of increasing the what are they called, the orgonite. If you make orgonite and put magnets in it, you can do like hella intensified. Did I just say hella? You do a bunch of intensification on the quality of the orgonite, and since you're a living piece of orgonite, yeah, magnets are a great idea. I just have never used them. I've always like, I do the research and then I end up I do so much research into things that I don't end up actually buying the thing and checking it out. But maybe magnets will be my next thing that I get into. But yeah, the again, just know that like these are simple things you could do, just buying a couple small magnets and putting them one way in your bed and seeing what it does. I definitely have done a couple of things. I have a really big neodymium square magnet that I'd put, like one night I just put it above my head, and that did some weird things on my pineal, and when I was sleeping it was definitely a strange experience. But I move around a little bit when I'm sleeping, and the thing fell and whatever, so you know. But yeah, it's fun to play with. Give it a shot. I wish I could tell you somebody off the top of my head that I knew about the magnet therapy, but that was so long ago that I did research on that. But you could look into biogeometry by Ibramov. Just put in the words biogeometry and Ibram, Ibram, and that's some really cool stuff on the basically using symbols that are kind of like Reiki symbols around the house and in different areas that actually cause balance, kind of feng shui like. So biogeometry is really cool stuff. Oh, thank you, Gary Baxter, for letting me know that if I recall correctly, yes. What up, One Plane? Beaver arsehole raspberry flavoring. Soviet Russia. Placenta consumes you. I dig it. I dig it. What up, Captain Bullshit? Tau Study Alpha, what's going on? Oh, Rising Love, good to see you. And if I never said thank you very much for I just realized it was you that sent me that. I didn't realize that was you. So thank you. That was extremely appreciated. That's wow. Awesome. Totally radical. Thank you. We about 2 hours in, so I'm about to get wrapped up here. But I'm going to probably do one later today. Nice. A bunch of people came through here that I've never seen before. Well, thanks, One Plane, for thumbing up. Oh, nice. Hey, so if you say the words, they come. That's cool. Super Champion Rocker. That's one of my favorite lines ever. Magnets, how they work. Yeah, so check it out, yo. It seems like a pretty good time to end this chat anyways. So stay well, do cool things, inspire the world, and try to help the little trolls out if you can. You know, feed them nutritious material, not the garbage and sweets that they want to fatten up their fat heads, you know. But try to lift up the species, help them up when you can. Stay well, and always the thumbs up are really great. And for anybody that has extra currency falling out their pockets that feels like they need to put it into my pocket, feel free. You know how to do it. So stay awesome. I'll probably check you guys later.